Okay, welcome everybody, and I'm sorry about my text that might pop in there. Busy times these days. So we're gonna have Danny Root kick off our presentation. Go for it, Danny.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, everybody. This is, like Lance said, it's great to see everybody come and express interest in this. So I wanted to just briefly, hang on, let me just get rid of this. I just wanted to briefly introduce the City of Trees Challenge. It's our tree planting initiative here in the city of Boise. Beyond that, and we'll get into the details of kind of how we've approached a tree planting initiative for our community later in the presentation. But it was always part of Elaine's original vision for this for the City of Trees Challenge to have it be a challenge to other communities near and far away from us. And to really create citizen action surrounding tree planting. So that's the stage of the initiative that we're at right now, and that's why we've asked you all to join us here today. So we'll give a little bit of an overview of what exactly the City of Trees Challenge is. We'll talk about what it means to join the City of Trees Challenge, or what our vision for that is right now. This is all still a little bit in the works, and this group of people here, we're hoping can help us sort of define that over the course, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Lance is going to talk a little bit about just the importance of investing in our urban tree canopy, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, but we'll go over that a little bit, and then we'll get into exactly how we've approached this challenge and our steps for moving forward. So.
Great.
Yeah, let me, I'll start by introducing Lance. So for those of you who don't know Lance, so Lance and I are kind of heading up the City of Trees Challenge for Boise. Lance is the network coordinator for the Treasure Valley Canopy Network here in Boise, and that is a full-on nonprofit now, right, Lance?
Yep.
As of recently, so. Yeah, great. And he's been helping us since the outset of this project, coordinating everything sort of outside of the city. So all of our partnerships outside of the city, our work in forest seedlings, and really pushing the boundaries of what we could do. If this was just an initiative within the city. So we've been really grateful for his help.
Great. Thank you very much, Danny. And I'm lucky to work with Danny. He's the sustainability specialist with Boise Parks and Recreation. And when we put together the challenge, he became really the leader in the city staff. What's awesome about our team is it incorporates some of the people you'll meet here today, which includes the climate division, the mayor's office, Council President Clegg, Public Works, planning. And I think in order to make this happen, you need to have that cross collaboration. So I love working with Danny. He's a really good strategic problem solver. One day he'll be a farmer on the local farm that they just got at City of Boise and are getting up and running. And the other day he'll be talking to mayor and council. So he wears lots of hats, and it's a lot of fun to work with him. So Danny and I will be running this meeting today. I'll kind of be your in-person facilitator, and then Danny will help me behind the scenes. And we'll let you get to know Council President Clegg in just a little bit. But before we do that, I want to pop over and get to know all of you a little bit. So I'm going to jump out of the presentation so we're all in the same room again, but let you know we have members here. Oh, we got another person jumping in. We have members here from several cities that have reached out to us since we launched the challenge a year and a few months ago. So we've got Garden City, Nampa, and the Portneuf Valley, which is Pocatello, Chubbuck area in Idaho. I don't know how we got IDA HR 60, but that's Idaho. We've got Northfield, Minnesota through a connection with Council President Clegg. We have a few folks from Nebraska from Long-Term Friendships and Partnerships. My cat's saying hi. We've got Park City, Utah. And just last night, some people reached out from Denver, Colorado, so I threw them in here really quick. So I think we got a really neat diversity of folks in this group. And what I'd like to ask you to do is to introduce yourself, share a little bit about how you heard about the challenge and a little bit about why your city is interested in the challenge. So I'm going to stop my share here so we're all in the same room. And let's go starting. You've met Danny, you've met me. You're going to get to know Elaine a little bit more. Let's start with Jamie from City of Boise in our climate division.
Hey, everybody. It's nice to virtually meet everyone and be part of this group. It's exciting to see the City of Trees Challenge growing. I'm Jamie Goldman. I'm the Climate and Sustainability Coordinator for our climate division at the City of Boise. So sort of my role in this project is to tie what we're doing in this City of Trees Challenge to our overall climate goals, and really just bring that perspective to this group and help support it in any way we can as we continue to move forward. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all and working with you. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And let's kick it to Mackenzie Platt, who is our first intern with the Boise Community Steward Program. Mackenzie, can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Mackenzie Platt. Like Lance said, I'm an intern, currently getting my MBA at Boise State.
Wonderful, thank you, Mackenzie. Mackenzie's helping with a number of things with the challenge, and this internship is a partnership between the Canopy Network, which is myself and a few members here, and the City of Boise. Let's kick it to Tracy Swift, one of our lead partners with the Nature Conservancy in Idaho.
Hey everyone, like Lance said, I'm Tracy Swift. I'm the marketing and outreach specialist for the Nature Conservancy in Idaho. And we're happy to be a partner with the City of Trees Challenge. We also lead the effort for the forest seedling side of the challenge, getting out and getting seedlings outside our city area.
Great, thank you very much, Tracy. It's a really good example of how this partnership goes beyond just, hi Kylie and your dog, I love it. Goes beyond just the bounds of City of Boise. So that's a unique thing, I think, to highlight about this, this partnership and project that we have. All right, so let's now go around to our partners. Let's start with Susanna.
Hi guys, Susanna Smith, assistant to the mayor in Garden City. We're a Bee City USA, the first one in Idaho, so I thought it'd be nice to find out about the Treasure Valley Canopy partnership. So here we are, me and Colin. Great, thank you, Susanna. And I think Susanna might have been the first city that approached us when we first launched. One of their residents really liked the City of Trees Challenge, so we're glad to have you here to see if you can join us long term. And let's go to Colin with Garden City.
Hi guys, I'm Colin Schmidt. I'm the Public Works Director at Garden City. I work with Suzanne on a lot of these initiatives that come through. So thanks for letting us be part of this.
Great, thank you, Colin. And to let you all know that aren't from this area, basically City of Boise almost completely surrounds Garden City. So Garden City is a really beautiful little city along the river corridor, and we're all intertwined here in the Treasure Valley. So we're glad you guys could join us. Let's go to Ann Bates with Idaho Nursery and Landscape Association.
Good morning. I'm Ann Bates. I'm the Executive Director for the Idaho Nursery and Landscape Association, and I'm excited, Lance, to hear all about what happened this spring. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Ann. And Ann's been a big partner with, in our second year, we wanted to partner closer with local nurseries. So there is no way that City of Boise or the Canopy Network's going to pay to give away 100,000 free trees over the next 10 years. So we really want to encourage people to purchase trees from our local nursery partners. And a big part of this is growing our local green industry. So Ann's a huge part of helping us do that. Let's go to Rick with Portneuf Valley Partnership. And are you Pocatello City Council as well, right, Rick?
I am. I serve in both capacities. I'm on the city council and serve as the past president of Portneuf Valley Partners. We're a group here in town that's done a number of beautification projects throughout the valley. We're starting our first tree planting project in July to plant a series of trees in the backside of one of our cemeteries that borders I-86 I'm sorry, I-15 to try and reduce the noise throughout the cemetery and also provide some beautification on what's frankly a little sparse piece of ground right now.
Great. Thank you, Rick. And do you see anybody else on the
No, and
meeting here that's from your group?
I don't, and I'm surprised. There's a lot of interest. Our president, Jed Thomas with Porter Valley Partners, is the one who got us connected with you guys and has been leading the charge on a tree planting project. And Jed is in the financial industry, and I suspect he's probably closing a loan this morning. So that's probably
Sure.
the reason he's not joining us.
Definitely, definitely. And that's really why we talked with Rick several months ago and his group of about 5 people. And that's why we wanted to get this group together, because we want this journey together to be a joint partnership, not just us saying, hey, if you want to join us, you have to do A, B, and C. So people are really busy, and we'll together figure out if you want to join us and what that looks like. So thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Bradley Brandt, how are things in Nebraska?
Not too bad, Lance. Not too bad. Appreciate you having me on today. I am a program manager at the Arbor Day Foundation. I manage our forest restoration programming, which means I help provide funding for large-scale tree planting efforts around the country and around the globe. And I'm also representing Lincoln as a chair of our Parks and Rec Foundation. And I'm also on the board of our Parks and Rec Advisory Board. So I'm a board member there, and obviously love to plant trees and love being a part of this initiative, and hope to continue to do so in the future. And also,
Thanks,
I will add, Lance, I have 2 kids that go to college in Northfield, Minnesota. So I'm glad to hear that Northfield is checking in. So I have 2 students at St. Olaf College.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. And Brad is a big partner. So they funded our first batch of forest seedlings, 35,000 forest seedlings, I believe, we planted in Boise National Forest on some fire restoration. And so not only is Brad a big partner in helping us fund our forest seedling work, and we're going to build on that in the coming years, but also it would be awesome to have Lincoln, Nebraska, the home of Arbor Day, be one of our partner cities as well. So tons of opportunity there. Thanks for all the support, Brad. Let's go to Adam in Nampa / Sun Valley View.
Hi, everybody. Adam Mancini with Nampa, City Forester, and also Vice President of the Canopy Network, trying to help Lance and Tracy and Kim all steer the ship of the new nonprofit. So it's kind of exciting in that avenue too, but glad to be here and been excited about what Boise's been able to do with the City of Trees Challenge, and want to do what we can to try to help contribute and try to expand it on our side.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. And yeah, I forgot to mention, so Adam is the Vice President of the Canopy Network Board, and Tracy is the Secretary. So they're big parts of all that we do. And for those of you that don't know the Treasure Valley, Adam's also one of the core cities in the Treasure Valley, Nampa, rapidly growing population. He just within the last week announced his first urban forest master plan to City Council, and I heard that went really well. So that's one big thing that the Canopy Network does, is helps our cities in the Treasure Valley build and grow their programs. So Adam's a big partner in that. So thank you, Adam. And it looks like we have a few Denver friends. Thanks for joining us at the last minute after you guys kind of reaching out yesterday through the Nature Conservancy. So let's start with Kylie, and then we'll catch everybody that's on the meeting here.
Yes, thank you so much. We're very grateful to be here. My name is Kaylee, and I'm a Master's of the Environment student at CU Boulder, and we are partnering with the Nature Conservancy of Colorado to enhance Denver's urban forestry program, and we're super excited about all the things that Boise's doing. So thank you. We're looking forward to learning more.
I can go.
Oh, thanks, Kaylee. I'm gonna unfortunately butcher some names here. Kiana Cito, is that right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Kiana Sito, and I am part of the Masters of the Environment program, as Kaylee said, and we're working on our capstone project. And part of that is reaching out to cities that have promising practices in equitable urban forestry to help provide some recommendations for the city of Denver. So thank you for having us today.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, this will be a perfect briefing for that project. Let's go to Lorena Gonzalez.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Lorena. Yeah, not to repeat what my team said, but Boise has come up as someone doing really, or as a city doing great things in the space. And so we're just here to listen and learn more. Good to see you all.
Great. Thank you very much. And Mel England.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what all my teammates said. Really, really happy to be here and to hear the great work that you all are doing. So thank you.
Great. And Mel, are you also with CU Boulder, or are you with the city of Denver?
I'm with CU Boulder. I just live in Denver, but yeah, with CU Boulder.
Perfect. And I think last but not least is Gary Bates with Idaho Community Forestry.
Hi, folks. I'm glad to be here. As Lance said, I'm with the Idaho Community Forestry Program. It's my job to help cities in southern Idaho with their develop sustainable urban forestry programs.
Great. Thank you very much, Gary. And one person that I can think of that's not here that I communicated with, I was hoping to be able to join us, was our Northfield, Minnesota friend that Elaine connected us up with, but we'll be able to share this recording with her and engage with her. I know Elaine, her and I talked very briefly yesterday, and she was pretty excited. So we'll be sure they're tapped into this.
That's good.
All right. Did I miss anybody? Nope. All right. Now let's introduce our star of the show, Council President Elaine Clegg. We would love Elaine to share with us her vision. This would not have happened without Elaine having a local interview a little over a year ago that surprised everybody, including all of us. But when we saw it and she quickly reached out to us to help make this happen, it's been probably, after doing this for 20 years in various different industries, one of the most exciting and fun collaborations, public-private partnerships, all the way from mayor and council to the people down in the ground planting the trees. It's a really fun project. So thank you, Elaine, for bringing this all together. And can you please share your vision with everybody?
Well, thank you everyone for being here. And I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to tell a little story. It's typically the best way, I think, sometimes to connect with people. I grew up in a logging family, but grew up loving trees. Trees have always played an important part in my life. Played in them. We had two great big sycamores in my front yard growing up, and I had a special reading spot in one of them that I could go hide in and read for hours on end, and nobody could find me. And it was such a wonderful experience. When I became a young mother, we moved into a part of town in Boise where there were a lot of old mature trees, and the city at that point wasn't doing a great job taking care of them, frankly. And I became active in my neighborhood association. One of the first things I did there was an initiative with the city to take better care of the street trees in their neighborhoods. And from there, continued my interest in how do we garner the value, the broad value that trees bring to a place where people live. Some of you have talked about some of those. There's climate impacts, carbon sequestration, air cleaning, water cleaning. There's beautification. Some that we haven't talked about are the social emotional health that they bring to the people who live around them. In Boise this week, we've been very keenly aware of how trees provide a different climate in the place where they are versus the places where they aren't. There's been a 15 to 20 degree difference in some neighborhoods in Boise this week in the 100-degree heat, depending on how many trees they had. So the story starts there with who I am and how I care about trees. And then about 2 years ago now, there was a very big storm event in our city, and it knocked down 27 trees at the grade school that some of my grandchildren attend. My daughter, excuse me, my daughter called me the next day and said, wow, this is a mess. I don't know what to do, but I want to see what I can do about it to help get these trees replanted. Do you have any ideas? So I hooked her up with the Urban Forestry Department at the City of Boise. She was also one of the art parents and one of the volunteers at that school. And in the end, they not only replanted all 27 trees, but they involved every student in the school in the planting. Every student in the school wrote something about the trees, and that writing was captured on leaves that were circ cut and then strung into a big lei that was delivered back to the Urban Forestry Department to thank them for all the help that they'd given. And out of that, it became really clear the power of trees to me. The power they had to bring people together, the power they had to create this very creative, innovative response, the social power, the emotional power. And as a longtime city council member, I wanted to do something more with our urban forestry plan. So as Lance mentioned, he's the executive director of the Treasure Valley Canopy Network, which came about because we got some funding to do a GIS study of all of our trees in 2013. We knew how many trees we had. We knew what the environmental benefits of those trees were. We knew the places in our city where they were lacking, the places where they were strong. And out of that, we developed a new urban forestry plan for the city of Boise. We discovered, so that Boise is called the City of Trees. Many of you may know, those of you in other states may not, that the southern part of Idaho is largely a desert, has a couple of rivers running through it, the Snake River and the Boise River are two of those. The Boise River Valley was traditionally a place with a tremendously important cottonwood forest in the river valley. It created a microclimate that's much different than other parts of Idaho and created a place that we think is very special. And it was always grounded in that forest of cottonwood trees in the river valley. And we became the City of Trees because as you came over the desert and you came into the valley, suddenly after miles and miles and miles of nothing but sagebrush, you were in this lush, verdant, forested valley. And so the city, took that on and the earlier parts of the city planted a lot of trees, but as the city grew, that sort of fell by the wayside a bit. And so as we developed this urban forestry plan, we recognized that some of the places in the city, some of the neighborhoods in the city had much lower canopy cover, many fewer trees. And we began doing some studies on that and discovered that not only did they have fewer trees and a lower canopy cover, but they had worse health outcomes. They had higher incidences of asthma and COPD. They had higher incidences of mental and social behavioral issues. They had higher heat gain. There are many, many health and social impacts of having a really strong tree canopy. So our urban forestry plan said, okay, we've got to plant more trees. What can we do? We settled on, we had a 16%, I think, canopy cover at that point. We settled on, why don't we try for 25%? I never felt like it was enough. So this was a few years prior to the event out at the grade school. And so after the event at the grade school, I said, what can I do personally to impact the idea of how many trees we should plant and how we should plant them and get the word out about how to do that. And about the same time, the NASA study on the impacts of planting trees on the global climate came out. And I thought, well, maybe Boise can be a place where we do something that makes a statement that other cities could join to also make that statement, and that cumulatively, not individually, but cumulatively, we could make a difference in how these trees actually do impact the global climate. So at first I thought, well, maybe we can plant a tree for every resident. Wow, that's a lot of trees. In Boise and Denver will be even more. By the way, I lived in Denver as a child, so I'm really excited to see you guys here. 235,000 residents. Wow. Talked to the Parks Department, talked to a few people. That's probably too many. But I wanted something that people could easily understand. So I thought, well, how about a tree for every household? That's about 100,000. Is that doable? Well, maybe it's a big number, but maybe we can do it. If we do it, what difference would it make? Well, in our case, it would double our tree canopy cover. We're at about 16%, as I said. If we can pull this off, we'll be at 30-some%. And it's easy to understand. A tree for every household. If you already have one, you don't need one. You can help another household get one that doesn't have one. And people were quite excited about it. So after those early conversations, as Lance said, I was on a radio podcast and I daylighted this idea and quickly got probably 10 contacts about what are you doing? How can we do it? And others like that said, oh gosh, this is the greatest idea. We have to do this. How can I help? So immediately it was exciting and positive and people wanted to be part of it. And immediately it was scary because it was a big, audacious goal and nobody knew if we could pull it off. So I quickly called Lance, having known him from the canopy cover and other work, and said, can we do this? What do you think? We sat down and talked and quickly discovered that we also share some other values. Besides caring deeply about the environment, about our cities, we care deeply about doing this in a way that is market-based as well as government-based. I believe deeply that the government has a role to play and the private sector has a role to play. And if we do it well and do it together, we're all going to be more successful. And so learning that from Lance, we went to the Parks Department and decided, yeah, this is something we probably can do. Let's start working. So they'll tell you the rest of how we're going to do it, how we're going to get there. But to me, the real key is that this is something that residents understand easily, deeply, can join readily, that people get excited about. And we're now at a point where we're struggling to figure out how to go from our beginning to what we need to do, scale up to get to the 100,000. The other piece of this that Lance touched on and Tracy touched on is that I also deeply believe, and as does Lance, that there really isn't a rural-urban divide. There really isn't a blue-red divide. We're all Americans. We all live in this place. We all share this place. And we need to figure out ways that we can share it in a way that shows our respect for each other. And so the other part of our challenge is that in addition to a tree for every household in the city, we are committed to planting a tree for every resident, a seedling, but a tree for every resident in our city, somewhere in a forest in Idaho, a forest that's been decimated by insects or by fire, or maybe a forest that's just been neglected and needs our help. Most of those forests are in the rural places in our state. And most of that benefit will benefit all Idahoans, but deeply benefit the city of Boise because our residents use those places to recreate, use those places as a beacon of what Idaho is. And so I think it's important, at least for us, as we talk about this challenge, it's not just an urban challenge. It's not just a rural challenge. It's hopefully figuring out ways to bring rural and urban interests together, recognizing that trees are something that are valuable to all of us, that can help all of us in many, many ways, from beauty and social health to climate good. And so joining today, or if you decide to make a commitment to try and join today, would mean you're willing to help us figure out how to make that happen, because we don't have all the answers yet. We've got to start. But we're very grateful that you're here and really excited to start this journey together. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Elaine. And that's just a great story of how it all comes together, right? And one thing that I love about Elaine is, for those of you that have been around politics and city government before, a lot of times a politician like Elaine will put out a big idea and then hope everybody can scramble to do it for them. And Elaine she gets her hands dirty, she makes it happen. Not only did she come up with a big audacious goal that makes a ton of sense, but she's working hard with us every day to make it happen. So I really appreciate you, Elaine. It's been fun to build this with her and to have 8 more years to be doing that together. And we'd love you all to join in this effort and help us realize it. One quick thing as I transition to Danny and getting into the details, Elaine came up with this idea before COVID had really hit us. So we quickly had to pivot once COVID happened and say, wait a minute, this is going to take money and people are probably going to be struggling for money. And is this really the right thing to do? But when we started to think about climate and the value of our green space and supporting our local industry, it still made a lot of sense. And so that's one part of the journey, how it started. And I think it's made it an even stronger challenge lasting through COVID and growing into supporting a more healthy and resilient future for Boise and hopefully all of your cities as well. So I'm going to kick it over to Danny and the slide deck. And I've had a few questions that I popped into chat. Keep those coming, and we'll have plenty of time here the last 15 minutes or so to chat with you all. So Danny, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, thanks, Lance, and thanks, Elaine, for all that background information. As I said before, I think it's always been our goal from day one, and this was part of Elaine's original vision, to not just have this as a program that we have in Boise, but she was really dedicated to growing it outside of Boise's boundaries. So that's something we've really taken on, and in fact, that was the entire reason I assume that we chose to name it the challenge, so the City of Trees Challenge, because it's a challenge not only to ourselves but to other communities. So that's what we'll be focusing on today, and our sort of vision for how that's going to work is that we have our approach to a tree planting initiative in Boise, and we would love to enable other communities to stand up their own tree planting initiatives in their own communities, but those won't necessarily, Elaine gave some really good background on how we've approached it, with the one tree per household, one forest seedling per resident. But what we really want to do is give tools to other communities through sort of a series of meetings this next fiscal year to provide resources and help them grow their own tree planting initiatives that make sense in their own communities. So to that tune, this is the challenge's mission, and in its most basic form, at its heart, the City of Trees Challenge is really all about climate action and enabling citizens to take on climate action. We've had this idea that people don't necessarily feel empowered all the time, but this provides them a way to do things on a local level that have impact on a global scale, and also local impact in their immediate environment. And we're doing this all through the lens of equity in our community, as Elaine said. I can't stress how important that is. I think that most of you are probably aware of it, but we can talk more about that in the cohort. These are the types of things we'll address. And we sat down early on when we were talking about how to roll this out to other communities and how to really enable other communities to stand up their own tree planting initiatives in the best way. And we decided that, you know, we could tell people how we did it, but really what it comes down to are these sort of core concepts that the City of Trees Challenge, that our approach is based around. And that's these, we kind of boiled them down to these three core concepts. It's focused on tree planting as citizen climate action. So the tree planting is not just for one purpose, I guess. You know, a lot of tree planting initiatives, you'll see they'll have one or two focuses, but we really want to go for the broad focus of tree planting initiatives as climate action, built on sound foundations of data. So we'll go into some of our data pieces. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't have those data pieces that it won't be a successful program, but we have some pieces of data that we thought were really crucial to us being able to make informed decisions on how to progress this tree planting initiative from the start. But there's a lot of great places to get that information now. A lot of national databases and resources out there that we want to share with people through the cohort. And incorporating planting on both public and private property, we think that that's really important and a core piece to the City of Trees Challenge and other programs like the City of Trees Challenge. Not to say that a tree planting initiative wouldn't be successful if it focused on just one of those, but it kind of goes back to what Elaine was saying about crossing boundaries with these tree plantings and really engaging people, as many people and in the most sincere way possible. So those are our core concepts that we feel that other like programs would kind of adhere to. I'll turn it over to Lance now. He's going to tell you a little bit about our just why do we make an investment.
Thank you, Danny. And so those three core pieces are what we came up with our City of Trees Challenge team, and that's what we want to evolve and discuss with you all today. How can we make sure that by you joining the challenge, that you can both move forward what makes sense in your community, what your citizens are looking for, what your leadership is looking for, but also follow some core principles of what we believe the challenge is. So it's a very collaborative, shared vision together. One thing that you'll notice with everything that we do is it is founded. I love that Elaine told the story of all the way when her and I started working together with our urban tree canopy assessment for our region, and then the management plan for the city of Boise. That's really when the seed was planted for all of this, and Elaine was able to plug all her knowledge into the resources that we're building for the city. So we know within the city of Boise that we have a great urban forestry program, but it needs a lot more resources to be able to take care of our city of trees. We know all the climate and health impacts because we also did an iTree eco assessment with that. And so we're using that foundation of data, which actually was in 2013. So we're looking to update that as part of this project. But then we're also focused on how can we empower citizens on how their individual impact can make a difference. And so this is a view, if you ever drive into the city of Boise, of our capital and our downtown, which is growing like crazy, but a wonderful place. We'd love to have you. We have this is very near to where I live in our North End Historic District. We also have challenges with large trees that are needing to come down because they're at the end of their life stage. So we're building an urban wood network and a lot of different pieces. We know that we want to empower the youth and help the youth understand the benefit of our green space. And so that connection with the youth is so very important with what we're building. And again, like Danny mentioned, and we'll get more into the details, we've got our data that's driving us. So this is from the urban tree canopy assessment that was incorporated into the management plan that City of Boise is implementing. And we can get our cities and our kids involved in this. So it's very important for us to be able to do that. And I'll kick it over to Danny to highlight some of the tools that we've built over time that we may be able to share with you as you join the challenge.
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about a little bit how we approach this challenge. Like Elaine said, we had this goal of one tree for every household, one city tree for every household, one seedling for every resident, and focusing around this as a climate solution. And when we started this, we had some stumbling blocks on how to approach that, because this is, at least from my perspective, this is, I guess, less of necessarily a tree planting problem and more of a tree tracking problem. And so that's really how I viewed it, as to how do I get people engaged to know how and when they are planting trees in Boise. And so we've gone through a couple different iterations of some web platforms that we've developed at this point, trying to make it as easy and engaging as possible for people to be tracking the trees that they're putting in the ground. And we have several different outreach mechanisms that we've developed to try and reach out to people and see when they're planting trees, and we're collecting data from a lot of different places. So that's kind of just an overview of how we first started approaching this problem. Another key piece of this, and the reason we want to track the number of trees that we're putting in the ground, is so that we can show their impacts. I mentioned the importance of data earlier. Not only foundational data is important, but data moving through the program we feel is essential to a successful tree planting initiative, because it really allows you to show that impact, show the value of trees, both to the community, to decision makers. And it opens up avenues for you that go from just citizen engagement to funding. So you can see sort of this is our current iteration on our website of our impacts that the trees we're planting are having, and that's all powered by iTree currently. So,
and
Boise's
I might add to that is,
go ahead, Lance.
Danny, sorry to interrupt you. I might add to that as Danny continues here. One thing that you'll notice in what we're doing is communicating the impact is very important. Counting the number of trees is important, but not near as important as what real impact we're going to have. And so we have, through relationships and partnerships, been able to get the best available data to communicate those ecosystem service benefits from our friends at iTree. So we hope to be able to share those opportunities with the cities that join us to do that. So that's why that snapshot is so important. I'll let you keep going, Danny.
Yeah, and that didn't come about immediately. That also just took some figuring out how to get that partnership worked out with iTree, and using their most updated API and tools to really have the most updated data that we could on there. I've talked a lot about the stuff on this slide, but we're really focused around climate and community are our two main goals within our sort of version of the City of Trees Challenge. Recording and tracking tree plantings and showing that impact. Lance talked about how important that is. And we do this not just to communicate to people, but to create the long-term investment in our urban forest. And data is really the tool that we use to do that with. So this slide will show you some of our foundational pieces of data that I was talking about earlier. So we have three really key pieces of data that we felt really helped us sort of start this program and inform how we developed the program. The first of which was our tree canopy study. That the most recent version we have was from 2013. Like Lance said, we're looking at getting that updated soon so that we can have a baseline of information from kind of the start of our tree planting initiative. But we did have data from 2013 that showed sort of dense and sparse areas in our tree canopy across the city. Along with that, and I think that you'll all sort of understand how these do go hand in hand is this urban heat study that we had done in 2019, Lance? 2000, yeah. Anyway, some more recently than the tree canopy study, but this showed that correlation really nicely between forested areas of our city and unforested areas of our city, and how hot daytime temperatures got in those areas. And with this, we were able to sort of pinpoint some very needed spots for tree plantings. And the last piece of data, and this, there's a lot of different sources for this now, and a lot of different ways you go about collecting this, is sort of equity information across the city. So we're using this study that we had commissioned and done in 2020 as sort of our piece of data that's informing how we decide to distribute trees across the city. But there's some really great tools out there that are available now that can help people do this, even if you don't have a commission study done. Ours was this community development analysis, and they looked at census tracts across the city and looked at several different factors: access to green space, access to healthy foods, access to medical care, median income, a lot of different factors to determine sort of the community health of those areas.
Danny, let me pop in real quick. For those of you in other cities who may have been looking at ways to gather this data, the study was based on health impact assessment toolkit. And so if you've had any health impact assessments done for anything, you might be familiar with that. In this case, we did essentially the whole city for a variety of factors with that health impact assessment lens.
Thanks, Elaine. And to add to that a little bit, that's another kind of success story of what we love doing at the Canopy Network, building those public-private partnerships. So the consultant that did this work, when they got the contract, part of their proposal was to work with some of the GIS people that do a lot of our urban tree canopy work. So a lot of the reason why they even considered tree canopy as a part of that is just because the relationships we've built with those people that are doing that transportation planning and those health impact assessments. So we are very fortunate here through our relationships to have some of the best kind of current cutting edge data to inform what we're doing. So I'm glad Danny could highlight that for us. Do you have anything else to share, Danny, before I pop into partnerships and we have a chance to chat with everybody?
No, I think that gives everybody sort of a high level overview of how we've approached it.
Great. Thank you, Danny.
We can answer questions later.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got about 20 minutes, which I think will be enough for conversation. We'll check in with 5 minutes to go, see if people want to go a little bit longer, because I do want a chance to talk with all of you. Really quickly, as Elaine said, she knew that, and she also values the benefit between industry, private, and the public. And so this is very much a public-private partnership. And so we're working with neighborhood associations, with the school districts, with other volunteers, City of Boise, like I said, lots of their different departments are engaged in this. The Parks Department is really taking the lead, but the Climate Division is highly involved. Mayor and council are very highly involved. We've brought in the green industry, and Ann Bates had to leave us for another call, but they're a big part of helping us better connected with the nurseries to make sure that every tree that goes out is counted for our challenge, but also that more and more people are buying and supporting our local nurseries and planting trees in the right way. We have a lot of resources to help make sure that's good and taken care of. We have tree care companies that have joined that are planting trees and helping raise awareness. So it's been fun, and that continues to grow. That's one of the greatest things about this is, even Elaine said it, we're learning as we go. And so we aren't coming to you with, this is what you should do because we know it's perfect. We're going to evolve and grow, and we've got 10 years to make it better and better as we go. The other thing that you will notice is that this is not a one-off project idea. If we were talking last night with a bunch of our partners, and I said, when we first started working with Elaine on this, I said to myself, if all we do is count some trees on a website, we have failed. We need to empower climate action. We need to help get more investment in our local urban and community forestry program. That's how it's going to make a difference. And you'll notice in our communication, we don't talk just about planting trees. We talk about planting, growing, and caring for those trees over their lifetime. And so when we're looking at funding, we don't say, give us $1 and that's going to plant a tree. We know that it's actually going to cost about $5 to plant and care for a forest seedling and make that happen. We know that it's going to cost upwards of $400 to plant and care for an urban tree. So we need to make sure, and I think that's something we should all challenge ourselves to do. We are planting and growing trees, not just getting money to plant one tree in the ground. And that's very much at the core of what we're doing. And we've also leveraged a lot of great partnerships. Like I said, Arbor Day Foundation has been a great partner, and that continues to grow. The 1T.org, we looked at a lot, there are a ton of tree planting initiatives out there at an international level, and we purposely joined and pledged to 1T.org because it really fit what we're doing, the impact. The city of Boise wanted to raise they've been a tree city of the USA for a long time. They wanted to raise that and get an international audience to that. So we joined the Tree Cities of the World, which is also an Arbor Day Foundation program. So we're always looking to do that, to one, raise our impact, which I think was part of how you all heard about us. And the other is to leverage those partnerships and opportunities. We already received some funding and support from Arbor Day Foundation through those. So we're always consistently looking to do that through what we do.
Lance,
our impact report. Oh, go ahead, Elaine.
Yeah, quickly before we leave partnerships, the other thing the city is in the process of doing is building partnerships with our private developers. We know that as they develop greenfield, and even especially as they do infill projects, that they both cut down trees and plant trees. And so we've begun an initiative to make sure that we know the canopy that we're losing and the canopy that we're gaining, and that we're counting the gain and mitigating the loss. And so I think that it's also another really important partnership as we all continue with the private sector development that happens in all of our cities.
That's a really good point, and I'm glad you mentioned it. One of our newest partners is Harris Ranch, which is a planned development community. They're now a contributing network member, and we're finding more and more developers. Developer used to be a bad word in the urban forestry world, but more and more of them are coming to us because they recognize the benefits that investing in tree canopy provides. So it's a really exciting piece. And on the other side, the full circle of urban forestry, now cities, we've been approached in the last few weeks actually by 2 different developers that are needing to take out trees. It's part of the development process. We know it's going to happen. But in order to mitigate that, they're both looking at how can we use those large trees to get into our urban wood economy? And also how can we replace that canopy with the right trees and build in the right way? So I'm glad you mentioned that, Elaine. That's a huge part. And I think something that is exciting how that's evolving and changing in the future. And finally, a little bit about our impact.
Lance.
Oh yeah, Danny, go ahead.
Lance, do you think maybe we should skip over the impact just so we have enough time for discussion? We can make this our impact statement available to people.
Yeah, you're 100% on board with me. I was going to skim through it quick.
Okay, sorry about that.
No. So our impact report, I'll send this to you online. You'll notice it's founded in all the partnership pieces. We'll talk a little bit. I'd encourage you guys to look at the difference in the public versus private property trees. We're continuing to find out, because as you know, if we're going for 100,000, 2,000 in 1 year is not enough. So we're continuing to grow this, but I'll send you that link. And now I want to talk about how you guys can join us. We looked at a few different ideas that I wanted to plant with you before we jump in our room together. We want to jumpstart tree planting in your community. We want to help communicate through all our resources how you would join this national movement. And then some ideas we thought of is maybe we do quarterly meetings with you all and help share resources. We came up with this idea and how we did it through working with a lot of other people. And like Root Nashville actually was one example of some people that we borrowed a lot of ideas from. So let's, we've got 15 minutes. Can everybody stick for those 15 minutes? All right, let's raise hands, throw in chat, come up with ideas, and then I'll kind of wrap it up at the end on kind of some next steps of what we can do. So
and just real quick,
Danny.
Just real quick before we get started, that's, you know, quarterly meetings is just one way we can handle this. We can meet more often as well with the original cohort of cities who wanted to join this. And like I said, the key to this is just giving people sort of the resources necessary to stand up a tree planting initiative in their own community. So we're thinking about doing sort of deep dives into topics about how we approach things, how other tree planting initiatives approach things. We wanted to get other tree planting initiatives in on some of those meetings, invite Root Nashville, for instance, to some of them to talk about their program. Keep Indianapolis Beautiful is another tree planting initiative that we've had contact with, but invite people from around the country to sort of share and provide insight into how to get these things started. So,
thanks, Danny. So Brad's got to jump off in 5 minutes, and I'd love to hear from Brad. I think there were a few things that you brought up, and you work in this stuff all over the country and world. So before you jump, Brad, any thoughts or ideas?
I'm really excited about the challenge. You know, my programming focuses on rural areas mainly, but we also have a lot of different programs at the Arbor Day Foundation that focus on urban and community forestry. I know you mentioned Tree City, Lance. We have that network of currently over 3,600 cities around the country that, you know, we can help spread the word through our networks. You know, we also have, you know, new programs like we have a disaster recovery program, and we're pretty open to what a disaster is. It could be, you know, it could be insects, it could be disease, it could be windstorms, you name it. But we have programs that help provide larger trees to communities that have been affected by natural disasters. So there are plenty of opportunities and programming here at the foundation that can help on both sides as well. So I'll just throw that out there.
So Brad, 2 questions for you. One would be, since you're well ingrained into Lincoln, Nebraska, and I think you could help them understand how that city could actually join the challenge, what would it look like that would be valuable for Lincoln, Nebraska to join the challenge? Take your Arbor Day hat off for a second, and then I've got an Arbor Day question after that.
That's hard to take the hat off. Well, you know, Lincoln is a tree city, obviously, and we also have, you know, urban and community forestry that lives and breathes here in Lincoln and takes care of our urban canopy. And, you know, because we are the home of Arbor Day, there is interest in our tree canopy. We have a mayor currently who completely understands, like Elaine, the importance of trees in communities. And this just seems like a natural fit for our community, just because of being the home of Arbor Day, and people are very aware of trees in this community. And I know a lot of people, obviously, with Parks and Rec Department and others throughout the city of Lincoln who would be, you know, really interested to move forward on something like this. My only thing that I'm pausing on is, here in Lincoln, Lincoln and Omaha are the two big cities in Nebraska, and we're both in the southeastern part of the state. Our national forest is about as far away from us as could possibly be in the northwestern part of the state. And we do fund seedling, large scale seedling plantings on that forest because of fire, but they're pretty small amounts. So I'm just been thinking about if we were to pull in that rural side of things in Nebraska, there are a lot of cities out there, that like maybe Northfield, I know, starting to get to know pretty well too. They may not have the ability to do large scale rural. So not quite sure how that would work on the Lincoln side or Omaha or maybe even Northfield side, but just trying to think through that as well.
Cool.
That's really interesting, Brad. Two thoughts just quickly. Hopefully you'll have time to answer the other question. We can provide a kind of template for all of you. We can provide kind of a template resolution that will help you think through what your goals should be and how to present them to your elected officials so that they can consider them. But the other thing, I'm really glad you brought up the rural side. I've thought, especially in the Midwest and the Plains states, that there might be an opportunity for larger cities to help planting efforts in smaller cities. And so your rural part of it is actually urban as well, but it's urban in a whole different way. There's also riparian restoration efforts. One of the things we're going to do with some of ours is to repair some of the side channels in our river. Part of that will be a tree planting effort. So I look forward to having the discussion about how that looks in other places, because it will look different than here.
And
Yeah,
we're also
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
we're also sort of looking at some different, these tree planting initiatives don't, I'm sure you're aware of this, but don't have to take place on national forest land either. Because, and Tracy could maybe speak to this more if anybody is interested or has time, but we're also looking at some just private land partnerships as well for our sort of rural plantings.
Exactly. And so in what you said there, Brad, I'm glad you kind of laid that all out, because we're thinking in our mind now, like what that pledge looks like to join the challenge. And so we want it to be probably founded in those three main pillars, but that's what we want you all to help us figure out. So from all this information we're gathering, I think we'll come up with maybe a template of what a pledge looks like, and then circulate it to you guys and kind of evolve that and figure it out. And we can be really creative about it. But the urban rural thing, it sounds like, is really resonating with people. It's just gonna, like Elaine said, it's gonna look different in every place. And we had a really ambitious goal here with our challenge, because we know there's already a lot of money going into the national forest land, was to work with private landowners. That's just a little bit harder. I think we'll get there within the next 10 years. In the short term, we're helping national forests, and we'll grow from there. And the other piece, and I guess we're going over your 5 minutes, Brad, but really quick, I think there are some opportunities for us now, putting your Arbor Day hat back on, to discuss larger funding partnerships and opportunities, because that is one thing that you have a lot of corporate organizations and partners that want to do good stuff. And by us working with you, hopefully we have an easy flow to do that, and maybe rise up the people that are part of our challenge and being more competitive for that. So I appreciate your willingness to think through that, and we'll continue those conversations.
Yep, absolutely. I'm sorry I got to jump off, everyone, but it's been great talking to like-minded individuals, and look forward to the next conversation.
Awesome. We appreciate you, Brad. Thank you, and tell all our Arbor Day friends hi.
Will do. Have a good one.
All right. So really quick thumbs up for folks. I've got 7 minutes on our radar. Can anybody go longer than that, or does everybody have to jump at 11:15? You guys can stick a little bit longer. Let's do this. Let's say 11:30 is definitely have to go. But if you guys are okay to go to 11:30, this will be good to share our time together. Yes, right on, Rick. Susanna's got to go. So Garden City, before you jump, any thoughts or feedback from you? I know you jumped on early, and I know you're a small city, so What are your thoughts on what you learned today, Susanna?
Sorry, I was in and out of half of it. So can I just get back to you later and we'll chat?
Yep, for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.
Rick, you were popping in a few comments, and we will for sure get you a lot of these information. I'm going to follow up with like our impact report. I will create a little email group of all of us so we can share ideas and stuff as we grow this. But what are your thoughts, Rick?
Well, I'd like to make sure that this recording is made available so I can show it to the other members of Portland Valley Partners, those who were not able to attend, and we can try and get as involved as we can outside of municipal government.
Awesome. Awesome. And
Thank
that's another thing that I thought of, Rick, when I was jotting down and Brad was talking. I think one of our key pillars is that we have a committed staff, that we have committed nonprofit partners, and we have committed leadership. So I think we'll talk with people like you and Elaine. And Elaine, remind me the Northfield, Minnesota, your friend there. Is it Susanna?
Yeah, it's Susie Nakajian.
Susie
is the city council member in Northfield.
So I think, to me, that seems like another important part probably. And I'm glad, Elaine, that you mentioned maybe a template resolution kind of thing, because you all have a lot of experience as municipal leaders. You have connections all across the country. And so I think in order to make this happen, you have to have that connection to mayor and council to do it. So that seems like another key pillar to maybe, if you're going to join the challenge, you have that. Do you have any thoughts, Rick and Elaine? I know it's also dicey sometimes to marry yourself to a city council leader that might not get reelected, but it's just something I thought of while we were talking through it.
That's a risk this fall for me. You just never know. Are you up this year, Elaine?
I'm not, thankfully.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to add is that I've talked to both the Association of Idaho Cities, for those of you who are in Idaho, and also the National League of Cities, about at least becoming some kind of a recognized sponsor of this, so that we can we can use their resources to spread the word. We can also likely participate in their conferences once a year to educate people about it. Myself and a former council member in Cleveland already wrote a blog post for the National League of Cities that went out a couple of months ago. So there are other resources in terms of bringing other cities in, but it is always nice to get that pledge or that resolution passed, even if someone moves on. Future council at least has to decry it if they're going to walk away from it. And sometimes that's a lot harder to do than to get it voted in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point. How about Adam? What are you thinking, Adam? You just, congratulations, by the way, unveiled your management plan, and Elaine and I heard from a citizen out there how impressed they were and what a great job you did. So what are your thoughts in Nampa on what this looks like?
Well, thanks, Lance. I appreciate that. It was a big undertaking. So it kind of leads back to my original questions, and I think I've posed them before, where I really want to be involved and want to try to expand it to Nampa, and I want to know how that works. I mean, how am I to track trees? How can I get other retailers involved in Nampa? Do we try to keep it? I mean, obviously we want to expand it outside of the municipal, but we want to try to get residents involved in it too, and awareness is a big thing. I think getting the residents to know about the program and know that they're contributing to the program and be informed of the program. And I know that you did it through some retailers, but I guess those are my big questions. I want to do it, but I don't know how. I don't know what to do, what the next step is, and where I need to be, and that type of thing. So
I think that's a really good segue, Adam. I'm going to show you what our map looks like, and you're going to see trees already planted in Nampa. And I think Danny might be, one of our thoughts is I'll show you right here our website. And if you go to cityoftreeschallenge.org, and I can send that link to you as well. And a lot of credit to Danny and the staff at City of Boise for building this. This is our second version of this. But we have a tree counter from both the forest seedlings and the urban trees. You can go in and plant your tree, a really simple tool to do that. But you'll see, you already have a few trees planted out there, Adam. And so maybe Danny, you can explain how this might work. But one of our ideas was to give you basically a plug-in to this ArcGIS online system that we have, so that it's an easy tool for you to track trees. And I don't know exactly what that looks like. Of course, it depends on your GIS system at your city and everything. But do you want to talk a little bit to that, Danny?
Yeah, I think that at the start of this, it's like Elaine said, we can provide a template to help develop goals that you're interested in pursuing in Nampa. And then, what we really want to focus on this next year is just having meetings with you to answer some of these questions that you have. How do you approach community outreach? How do you approach working with or building the partnerships that we've tried to set up? How do you set up the website? How do you approach tracking, things like that? So, that's kind of the whole point of this, is to have those meetings and do those deep dives into the subjects and get you that information. Adam, it's a lot to just throw at people all at once, so we feel like it'd be better to spread it out over kind of a time period. But yeah, as far as the website goes, if anyone is interested in sort of setting up a website like ours, so we did that all through ArcGIS Hub, and we have a template for that basically. And so it's really easy for us to export and share that. And our IT team can work directly with you to try and help stand something like that up if you're interested in that. So we can talk.
We've also created, taken some time to create a brand and some marketing material. And I think those are also things we can share. In the Treasure Valley, it will be easy, I think, ultimately, if we get enough people joining for that to be a joint effort. Adam, for instance, we, with the landscape companies, we went out and tagged all of their trees that they had for sale. And that's why we're showing some showing up in Nampa. But we could provide the template again of that marketing material to other regions, other cities. I think the Portneuf Valley could easily take it and just add the Portneuf Valley instead of Treasure Valley and use the same marketing material. I do think ultimately it would be helpful if we can stick with the brand, if we're going to try to grow this into something bigger across the country, so that City of Trees logo on the things. And then we can also share with you the strategies that we've used to get word out to our residents. We have neighborhood associations, we've used those. We used our farmers market last year. It was very, very successful tool to get the word out. So as we have these meetings, especially if we meet more regularly this first year, I think we can talk through together what would be most effective in your own region.
That's great. And go ahead, Rick.
It's a challenge. I was at a meeting night before last. We're encouraging residents of the Johnny Creek area to cut trees. Last time that area burned, we lost 66 homes in about an hour and a half. A very hot fire that went through the junipers. And you got me to thinking, perhaps we can encourage them to take out the junipers if we offer a replacement tree for those that is not as fire sensitive as the junipers are, and create a fire-wise zone around those homes in that area. It's an impossible area to fight fires in, as the police chief said last night. Next fire we get that fire was covering 100 yards every 60 seconds when it went through that Johnny Creek area last time. And this might be, you've got me to thinking that perhaps this is a way we might be able to do two things: put some good trees in and encourage people to get rid of those junipers.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing for us to think of. Building a healthy urban forest doesn't always include planting a bunch more trees. And that's really the foundation of everything we do, especially out west, right? Is we can't be just about planting trees. And so that's something that I think will evolve together, is how can we talk about both? We do talk to some of our neighborhoods about, yes, how do you build defensible space around your house and cut down trees? A lot of the new neighborhoods, it's natural, they overplant to sell the development, and then you do need to remove trees over time. And so that's a good thing for us to consider. I appreciate that, Rick.
Rick, I think it is really important. The city of Boise has a WUI ordinance. So one of the things that this network could do in fire-prone areas is share resources in that as well. City of Boise has also been cutting down trees that are very high water users, especially Russian olives, and replanting with natives or lower water use trees for the other reasons in that case. But we also have some areas that we're trying to replant with sage rather than juniper, because sage, although sage can burn, it's certainly not the same kind of a fire as a juniper fire. So I think all those resources are things that we could share through this network as well.
We lost about 1,000 acres of sagebrush last summer on a fire on the east side of town. And we were damn lucky the winds shifted when it did, or we'd have lost an entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yep, it's volatile. And when we've got 7 to 8 days in a row of 100 degrees, it's where we live now. One thought, so one of the things that we talked about as this grew out was City of Boise, of course, doesn't have the resources to support, pay for a lot of this growing out bigger than that. So we said, we're gonna, as the Canopy Network, we're gonna help build this platform. And so what I'm thinking is that I'm gonna follow up with an email to everybody and figure out when is the next time it would be good for us to meet. And what I wanna be careful is everybody's busy. I wanna make sure that this is a meeting worth you coming to and an opportunity for you to grow something that makes a difference for your city. I think there's some cities, the 2 cities that we didn't have on this was Northfield, Minnesota, and Utah.
Park City.
Why do I have a
Park City?
Park City? I should remember, because I like that place. And so there'll be some cities in this group that probably said, oh, not for me. There'll be some cities that want to continue the conversation, and there might be a few more to join. But our idea is, let's keep a core group of cities, maybe add 1 or 2 for who we lose or whatever. And let's get again and talk some more nuts and bolts. I know that Danny, Elaine, and I have some ideas from this that I'm almost thinking like we could have some ideas for a pledge, for resources, for what the value is. And our next meeting would focus on those nuts and bolts. And then maybe, it almost feels good by this fall, we could do a media release that not only went through your local media outlets that you're officially joining the challenge, you know what it is, you're a part of it, but also through Elaine's connections with National League of Cities and Idaho Association of Cities and Counties, that we could make that announcement and that we're all on the same page and that you join the challenge. I think we'd love to do that this fall. So in the short term, maybe I will include a doodle poll rather than us looking at our calendars here on a meeting. Let's see, it's July 1st. Man, there's only one more summer month. Do you guys feel like you could meet in August and look at some details so that either September or October we could actually announce who joined the challenge? Does that feel good to you guys? Thumbs up. I see heads nodding. Yes. I like that, Rick. I'm impressed with your sign. I can't believe more people haven't figured that out. That's great.
I've got a sign for every occasion. I learned that during Association of Idaho Cities meetings this last year.
Oh, that's awesome.
We had weekly meetings for 3 months, Rick, and Rick was always great with the signs.
Nice.
And we can reach out directly to some of the other cities that weren't able to join us here today.
Yeah. August can be tough unless maybe we go later in August after school starts for some people. Let me just look in general before you guys jump off. And thanks for sticking with us. This is really valuable time. I will spare sharing my screen and you see my nightmare calendar. Maybe I'll send out the last the week of the 23rd of August and the week of the 30th of August to September 3rd. Does that feel good? Like doodle some polls or poll some whatever, doodle?
Those are
Doodle
the
those
2
2 weeks?
weeks that potentially work for me, but love to hear from other people.
Okay, okay. Do you guys support that? I'll send some doodles out for those 2 weeks.
Yeah, that works.
I don't think you're going to find a day that fits everybody, but put some ideas out, and those that can join, and those that can't, watch the recording.
Exactly. And then maybe we go with that, and then like a end of September, early October timeline that we unveil who our partner cities and do the media stuff. Does that sound reasonable, Elaine, to you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, well, really quickly, round robin for everybody. Hey, Mackenzie, what do you think? This is your first dive into this. Mackenzie's actually helping us. She already built out a plan for us engaging volunteers more through a, oh shoot, what's the name of that group we're creating?
Neighborhood Captain.
Yes, Neighborhood
Captains
Captain.
program. And we got that from Root Nashville. So I've been looking at their website a lot and taking information from them. I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of potential to take this platform and, change it around and make it unique and specific for each city. So I'm really happy to be here and learn from you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Mackenzie. How about Adam?
I'm good. I was kind of looking at the website, City of Trees Challenge, and is it as simple as, I'm sorry, I apologize for being kind of naive. Is it as simple as just saying plant a tree and then logging the tree? I mean, is it that simple, or do I need to do a separate platform for our city?
I think what we'll come up with is something, it could be that simple, but I think we want you to pledge to do something. And so you'll be part of saying what that pledge is to make sure it fits with NAMPA. And that's the other thing. I mean, even the word climate is a bad word in some places. I don't know if we can keep that totally out, but I want to explore with you all, how do we create something that your mayor and council would be like, heck yeah, we want to do that. And then it also fits our vision for what the City of Trees Challenge is. So we'll be having some emails back and forth, Adam, so that by the end of our September or by the end of our August meeting, you'll feel very comfortable on, okay, that's what this is. And this is what we can commit to do. So you'll be part of helping us figure what that is. But for you,
one of the things that I'd like to make sure we don't forget is that I'd like each place that adopts this to figure out a goal for themselves. So it may not be one per household, it may not be one per resident, but set a goal so that you're aiming towards something and not just counting trees. And that goal is based on, some outcome that you've determined would be beneficial in your particular location. For us, if we hit our goal, we double our canopy. If we double our canopy, we lower our heat island effect as much as 5 degrees, et cetera, et cetera. So like I say, that goal will be different for each location based on your needs and what your community supports. But I think it's really important for each place to have a goal and to enter this as a goal-based, target-based kind of idea, because that's when the data becomes important.
Yep. No, I think that's good. And for Adam, for you, it's relatively easy to follow because you have the same data that Boise does to inform that goal. Your goal just might look different. So yeah, we'll explore those details.
Okay.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, thank you.
Rick, any final thoughts?
I think most of the efforts in the Portneuf Valley are going to be private, not municipal. I don't see the staffing and time availability with the money crunch we've got this year. House Bill 389 gutted us. And so I think what's going to happen here will have to be private. But I think with the environmental movement through Idaho State University and that group of ecology-minded people, I think we can rally the volunteers that we need to make things happen. We just did it with the Portneuf River. I had a tremendous response to the efforts over the last 4 or 5 years to restore the Portneuf. And I think we can rally those same entities and volunteer groups to work toward this kind of a goal in our community.
I like that. And I think the key thing to think of, Rick, is how can this support something you're already doing and raise not only are you making a goal that fits this need, but really, we don't want to just create something brand new that doesn't build on what's already there. So that's a really good point, Rick.
And that's kind of, I think it goes well along with what Porter Valley Partners has been doing the last 25 years. You know, these kind of efforts, although not specifically directed at trees, are things we've been doing. We've had several beautification efforts that have included planting and improvements of vegetation and those kinds of things. And I think we can create a group within Porter Valley Group, that a subcommittee that will can lead the efforts, even though it may not be directed by the municipality.
Right, right. And also to add, we'll get into more of this on our next meeting, but I think you noticed Arbor Day Foundation's really interested. They're a potential big funder. And so if this becomes something at a national level, we could attract funding from people like that. So I think that's a good point. All right.
We've been talking
Danny?
with them the last 2 years. Yeah.
What's that, Rick?
So we've been talking with the Arbor Day people the last 2 years. Porter Valley Partners has.
Cool.
So yeah, this is just kind of bringing it all to a head and giving us a better direction and a plan.
Awesome. Thanks, Rick. All right, Danny, anything to add?
Not too much. You know, I'm like everybody, I'm excited to roll this out beyond Boise. Adam, just to answer, you know, I think that we can make it as simple or as complex. There's a lot of different ways we could hash out the sort of tech side of this. So, you know, we can discuss that further, but it's yeah, it can be as simple or as complex as we want to make it, but we'll figure it out.
Great. Thank you, Danny. And before I turn it to Elaine to wrap the meeting, I will be following up with an email to everybody probably early next week with this recording and other information, scheduling our August meeting. But we're really excited you could all join us together today. And thanks for sticking around for another 16 minutes. And Elaine, I will let you close the meeting and share any final thoughts.
Well, thank you, Rick and Adam, for being here. It was exciting to finally start moving beyond Boise, and look forward to working with both of you. And I'm going to ask if Danny and Lance can stay for just a second. I got an email actually while we were here about a meeting I had that I'd like to share with them. But look forward to figuring out how to really raise the awareness about this. To me, the exciting thing is that we can raise awareness across a lot of boundaries on why trees are important and how to get more of them in the ground.
Awesome. Thank you, Elaine. Well, everybody take care. Have a fun, safe, oh, I love it, Rick. Have a
No
fun
fireworks,
and safe,
no fireworks in the junipers.
yes, exactly. Be safe out there. Try to stay cool on the 4th of July.
Yeah, we had the fireworks in the junipers last night.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
Good
good.
luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, everyone.